All right, here we go. First time this thing's ran, probably since 1970 when it was at the dealership, brand new. Let's get to it. Good and new, welcome back to New Hampshire Vintage. My name is Wyatt, and we have a pretty special video and hopefully a fun video for you and me. So let's just get right to it. Gee whiz, it's a SkiWhiz. Sorry about that. This is a pretty cool unit. SkiWhizes themselves in the vintage snowmobile collecting world, they're not like super rare or anything like that. They're a really cool sled, but this one's a little special and I'll show you why. So looking on the outside, you know, fairly clean, but underneath, I don't think this sled's ever been ran, or if not, it's been started very, very small amount of times. Just look at that exhaust. There's no noticeable heat temperament or anything like that. There's no oil spewed about. There's no belt dust spewed about. There's still stickers on the engine. So there's an old instruction paper here, wire tied to the engine, and it kind of shows you your like torque numbers and spark plugs, and what else here? It tells you about the Tillotson, shows you your carburetor settings and all that stuff, which is really neat. We also have the front lights here, never been hooked up. They're still wire tied, and it's not fully assembled. So before we work on this, because I am definitely going to get this running and we are going to ride it, I'm not going to save it like this for the next guy, because whoever gets this after me is probably going to get it running and ride it too. I'm going to tell you the whole story about this. I feel like stories with these sleds or cars and stuff are more interesting than the sled or car or whatever you get, the unit itself. And this one has a pretty cool story. And so let's keep walking around this thing and I'll tell you it. So this SkiWhiz was located in West Virginia at Skip's Honda in Keister, West Virginia. And the guy I got it from, he collects three-wheelers and he shops around for old, new, old stock parts for those. And he ended up buying out the parts and all that stuff out of Skip's Honda when I believe they allegedly closed. This was about 10 years ago. And when he was going through all the parts, he was in the upstairs warehouse, and there was boxes of parts, like pretty much a pile, he said. And he was going up, climbing up to grab the parts to start taking them down. He put his knee, unfortunately, right here, and he heard a snap. And he ended up cleaning up more boxes, and he was like, holy crap, there's a snowmobile underneath here. So dug it all out, and here it was. Now, it's beat up. You know, there's a whole bunch of dings and dents, and obviously the break from his knee, which is unfortunate. But it, you know, I had a whole bunch of boxes pushed up against it, parts, who knows what. So the hood took a lot of the blunt of scrapes and rubs and all that. But the seat, besides one little spot right there, is immaculate. Still has the golden stitches. Never had the throttle cables installed. As I said before, it looks like it wasn't fully assembled. Same, obviously, with the windshield, but there is no evidence of screws in this section of windshield. So I don't think a windshield was ever put on it. Obviously, don't mind the wearing and stuff. You got to look through that. The bumper underneath, there's no dents. The skis are not beat up and rusted. There's still runners underneath it. And I'll get to the track in a second. That will really kind of show you the 0 mileage on this thing. Now let's look at that track, and I can show you that. So let's set this up. These bogey wheels still have a ridge where you can feel the, like the mold of the rubber there, where it hasn't been worn off yet. It's not smooth. There's a ridge there. Look at the track. These are not worn down where you can see the bogey wheels running over them. Looking at the back of the sled. Don't mind the spider webs and stuff, but I mean, you can see there is no evidence. Now, there is rust, like surface rust. You know, this thing still is 50 plus years old, and I'm sure the environment it was in was not pristine. So yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. I'm hoping it's kind of an easy one for us. We got snow coming hopefully within the next couple weeks. And in this video, you'll see me riding it. But I want to get this thing going so we can take it out in the first snow. And I want to be what I fully believe is the first person to ride this SkiWhiz. So to get started, I have a whole bunch of parts over there. But I think we need to start with fuel line. Get this all situated. Now I did open up this gas cap and it is fairly clean in there. You know, it has a little bit of rust build up, but there is a little bit of oil in there. You can kind of see. So it doesn't smell like gas, like at all. It just smells like old oil. I'm thinking the factory, I could be wrong, and you can correct me in the comments. A lot of you guys do that. I believe the factory or the dealer, when these came in, they poured just a tiny bit of gas. And back then, you know, there was, what, 20 to 1 or something like that, or 20, 30 to 1, whatever. Had a lot of oil with the gas. And I believe they put just a little bit in, and just to hear it fire up, make sure everything's good, and then shut it off. And that's just what's left with it. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Maybe this did have a full tank. I don't know. But there's not a lot of evidence about it showing, and there's no old gas smell like that. Like, it's a different kind of smell, but who knows? But I think we got to take this tank off and run. Obviously, I'm going to run new fuel line regardless, even if a little bit of fuel's been thrown. It's still 50 years old. It's going to degrade. And get the whole fuel system situated. I do want to take the spark plug out. I want to see what that looks like. And I want to put my camera down the cylinders as well. So before we get started, I just want to show you the parts that I got in. These cables, one's a brake cable, one's a throttle cable, were all done up by this guy named Jake. His Facebook page is Vera's Vintage Performance. You give him a look up. He does a whole bunch of cables, and he's getting into more stuff. So if you give him a look, really nice guy, honest, and his prices are very affordable. He also hooked me up and gave me new vents, because those ones are bent, and also a used snowmobile windshield bracket. So that's really nice. And then I got the windshield off eBay. Someone makes repops. We got a belt, a Dayco Max 1036. That's the trim for the windshield. And then a couple windshield hardware. experimenting with a couple things, but these stainless steel washers are the ones to use. And then I'm just going to figure out what size screw I want to go with that looks the best. So I got the seat off, and looking underneath, you can see a little moisture underneath there, but you can see this line, definitely gooey. You can see they just put electrical tape just to hold it in its spot. Wasn't, you know, just whatever worked, you know, so let's get this line off. We'll get the tank off, and we're gonna clean this whole tunnel up. Get rid of all that stuff and make sure all that's good, and get this tank cleaned out. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that underneath. Extremely clean though. Don't mind the noise outside. My brother's pressure washing the truck. Make it where you can't get any tool around this bumper. Here. Like so. And there is a bolt under. Okay, so I got the tank. Let's just see it. It just pops right off. Oh yeah, that's gonna need to be cleaned up. Okay, with the tank off, you can really see, look at that foam pad for it to sit on. I mean, it is immaculate. You don't see that on these older sleds anymore. So we'll get this whole line off. Just keep that wiring out of the way, get this whole tunnel cleaned right up, wipe it all down. Get rid of the electrical tape. Put some fresh stuff. It's not all gooey. Very, very gooey. And yeah, then we'll put a little bit of fresh gas in there, mix it around. Put a towel here. And so we'll get some fresh gas, mix it around in there, let it sit and clean all that smudge off the bottom, and then rinse it out. That tank should be good to go. Luckily, it's plastic. We also just need to take out this little fitting right here and just make sure that it's make sure that's good to go too. We got to put a line to go to the bottom. There's no line in there. Maybe it deteriorated or it was just never put in the first place. We'll find out. All right, that's a lot better. Now let's see what's inside this tank. I had some gas in here for a few minutes. I've been shaking it around. I also looked, there's a couple like bolts. Open that Trying to be careful with this sticker, but it's coming off anyways. Had to take my magnet. That's what was in there. Some sort of bracket. Well, the last thing that's in there is that little baggie, which I'll see if I can get out still. Well, that was fun. I'm just gonna do one more spritz of gas in there, do one more rinse, and then we can put this tank. Well, actually, we gotta add the intake fuel line, so scratch all that. So I got the little elbow out. That sits right in that hole you can see there. She's a little rusted up, so let me just clean this up with a wire brush real quick. All right. That's a lot better. Now we can attach a little line to that. All right, after digging around, I have this little setup. I found this little washer with a little bit of rubber on each side. I have no idea where I even bought this or what it was for. It was just in the bottom of my junk drawer. What I'm gonna do is just put this little washer on there. So when I tighten this down, it presses up against the rubber there. And I know this isn't gasoline resistant rubber. I understand that. It kind of is what it is at this point at the moment. If it starts to leak or whatever, I will put something different. I mean, anyways, I might put a little bit of gasoline resistant adhesive on the back maybe to press up against the tank with. Maybe that might help. But I think this might work just fine for what we're doing. So I've got a couple things to hose here. This is just kind of a cheap gasoline, you know, small engine hose. This stuff is pretty pliable and pretty soft. It doesn't want to curl back up, so I'm probably going to use this for inside the tank. I got just a little metal check ball filter. There it is. We've got our little filter in there. Doesn't look like any kinks. Everything looks good. We'll see if that holds up. I'm gonna just ignore that bolt's on the left. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So now that the tank's complete, let's throw it back in the sled and run some fresh line. My son's playing in the background there behind the camera, so you might hear him talk a couple times. Huh, buddy? What are you doing? There he is. Okay, we got the tank cleaned, ready to go. Now we can throw, we actually got to run the fuel line first. Then we can put that on because that holds the fuel line on there. Got it. All right, now that I have fuel line, let's run that. Okay. Just trying to help you. Just let me help you. There we go. So now we can run that like so. With our wiring. All right. New fuel line, and I got the tail lights wire right next to it, and with true fashion, I electrical taped it. I just did a nice straight line instead of a curvy path that the old line did. I don't think it really matters either way. The seat's just foam, so should sit on there fine. And yeah, that looks really good. So let's put the seat on, and then we can continue on with the rest of the fuel system. And we also got to take the carb off and all that stuff. So I cleaned the bottom of the seat as well. That's just going to sit back like that. So next is the rest of this fuel system. Got an old Fram filter, so that needs to go. The fuel primer seems like that's in pretty good shape, so we'll keep that. So let's loosen up these metal clamps and get this all changed out. Now I'm just gonna substitute this line for rubber because I don't have line this thick. After this primer bulb, if you can see, the one end of the primer ball is super thick. All right. Got a brand new fuel filter. I just got to zip tie it in place. We got our primer bulb still there. We'll see if that does anything. And we go right to our carbs. So that's all the fuel line done. So now let's do what I've been kind of waiting for, and let's pop that spark plug and see what that looks like. I don't know. So we'll pop that guy out, and let's also boroscope the cylinder too before we dive into the Tillotson. I don't even know if I have a... That might work. It's an old plug in here. Yeah, so it has ran. See, it's black, but it's not anything crazy. Man, that's an old plug. But it definitely has ran. Let's take a look inside that cylinder. This thing's basically brand new. Let me bring you in. Look at that. Still see all the engravings on the piston. It's not black. And if you really look, you can see crosshatch. Might be hard to tell. This thing is mint. So I am just going to put just a tiny bit of oil down there. Nothing crazy. Just enough so when I pull this over a couple times, she stays a little lubricated. Oh yeah. I say while we're right here, we check for spark. Let's hope the points are good. So I'm just going to plug in this AB7 for now, because that'll definitely tell me if we have spark. Turn that to on. We've always been getting lucky with spark, but I don't think we have it this time around, unfortunately. So, looks like we got to dive in and see if the points are dirty. It's probably going to be my guess. Look at this foam. It's like super deteriorated. It's just falling apart. Luckily on this thing, everything's a 10 millimeter. Right where my light is shining through that little hole is where the points are. Right there. I might be able to reach it from here so I don't have to take off the whole flywheel and the whole cover, because it's been taped, and I know it's just tape. It's not a big deal, but I'd rather not take apart this whole thing if I don't need to. If I can just stick some sandpaper down through there and see if I can clean them off, then I will. Yes. Oh. All right. I got the point sanded. Just put a little sandpaper in there and just carefully sanded it. Don't go crazy. Just enough where you can get some of the corrosion off. And then I just took a nice clean towel and just kind of wiped them after. And yeah, I think that's good to go. So let's put this all back together. I'm going to recheck all my grounds and let's see if we have spark. Oh, this flywheel also has a starting gear on it, so we could always put a starter on this down the road if we really wanted to. So now let's see if I can do this one-handed. Might not be close enough. Turn that to on. I'm hoping you saw that. We have spark. That's all it was. Points cleaning. Just probably from sitting, a little bit of corrosion is all it takes. That's good news. And all it cost was the rip in the sticker, unfortunately. But everything's put back together. Everything's cleaned. Now we can focus on the carb, and yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, we need to clean the clutches too and put the windshield on stuff. But next I say let's do the carb and the whole fuel system, and ignition will be done. Now let's tackle this carb. You can see this carb is actually facing forward. This is this engine's actually flip-flopped, which I guess like you have like a cold air intake and then the heat from the exhaust, because this is mesh. You can see right through it. And it's kind of a cool design in theory, but the only issue I see with this is tuning. A lot of these Tillisons, it's nice to tune while the sled's running or going, because you can tune your high to where you get that almost you can tune your high where you can get that optimal, you know, that fuel to air ratio that you want for max power. But on this, you have to like pull the hood up or try to reach over, and I don't know. That's the only issue, but it is cool in theory. It also has this little metal mesh, which is always missing, which is kind of cool. So let's pop these nuts and take this off. I just want to see what's inside of it, just to make sure that we're good to go there. I have plenty of carb kits, so I just want to make sure that that's not all gummed up or what have you. I should have a bent wrench. I do. Okay, my wrench drawer here, I should have. There it is. The old Tillison carb wrench. Oh no, it's gonna be too small. No. It's probably a 12. Might have to bend another one up. Just trying to see what size it is. So I just wanted to show you the wrench I got. Managed to squeeze that in there, right there, and get to that one. And this one was super easy. And just got to get them loose. And you can take the rest out by hand. Back in the old days, you can see in my old videos, say old days, it was only a couple years ago, I used to actually use some pliers sometimes to loosen those things up. Some guys use a screwdriver and knock it. The best way is to bend a wrench. Get a cheap wrench, find one, just bend it. That's the best way to do it. If you don't want to mar up your little nuts there. All right, I got the big bad Tilly HR out. I'm just gonna pop these screws. Take a look at what's inside. I have carburetor rebuild kits from GB Distribution out of Canada. You can get them right on eBay. They're a little pricey compared to the Vertex or Windorosa kits, but the quality is unreal. And if you're really into these things and you want your Tillison to run the best, get a quality kit. There are other quality ones out there. That's just who I use. Giving our Canadian friends a little bit of revenue as well. This isn't going to be a how-to. I already made a video on how to clean Tillison carbs. Went really in depth in there. And to the few of you that likes to hear me talk, because the majority of you don't, that's a really good video to learn about these things. Don't be scared of these Tillisons. They're really not difficult. The biggest thing is just to remember the orientation. There it is. So that diaphragm actually is good, but I like to see what's underneath it. I have a kit anyways, so it's okay. Tiny little bit of schmeg in the corner, but overall, that needle in there is stuck. There it is. Freed up now. So this is extremely clean. Usually I go and I clean out these Welch plugs, but I don't think I'm going to on this one. I can, if you take the carb and you shake it by your ear, you can hear that little check ball valve bounce back and forth. You know you're good. The only thing I'd like to do is just check that needle. This carb honestly looks great. I mean, it should. Sled's very, only started up a couple times. So here's the HR rebuild kit. Comes with all the gaskets. Brand new Welch plugs, which I don't think we're going to do this time around. Bunch of springs, which we're not going to use this time around. New needle and seat, which I think I'm going to use. I like these needles that actually go up and down with the fork. So it, I don't know, just seems like they work better for me. And then I'm going to put a new gasket and everything. So let me get this all put back together here. Well, good morning. Last night, camera battery died, and so I just finished putting the car back together. It was super clean, so I just changed all the gaskets out for fresh new ones and just put it back on the sled, put the fuel line back to it. So that's good to go. We are winding down now. We basically have throttle and brake cable we need to hook up. We have the windshield we need to put on, and we need to actually fire this thing up. So I don't know what to do next yet. I don't know if we should just hear this thing fire up or we should finish putting everything together. Either way, we need to put a throttle cable on. But I just say let's keep going with just getting this thing dressed up, and at the end we can fire this thing right up. You got to remind me, we also got to check the chain case, make sure there's some oil in there before we ride this thing around when we get snow. It's really cold today and windy. So yeah, let's go with throttle cables for now. So here's our throttle cable, made by Jake, really well done. Even includes a little bracket, but ours actually has one, and I'm going to use the original one. So I'm going to take that off. So the way this is routed, we'll go two ways here. We can go up through, there it is. Like so. And this goes through. All right, we got a throttle cable. Very snappy, very nice, really well quality. Very happy with that. Womp, womp, womp. So this brake cable, basically the same setup, just there's the steel end instead of a brass end where you adjust the brake there. And this kind of goes the same way. Through our little grommet. So putting this brake cable on, I ran into a snag. It's not a big deal, but I got it all tight, ready to go, and I was like, why does this thing feel so tight? Well, the little, they're not like pistons, but they're kind of like a piston. They slide in and out, and they push your brake pad up against the clutch. Well, they're seized. So I'm gonna just pull this caliper and get it on my vise and see if I can free these up, get them all cleaned up, and you know, get it to where it's working again pretty good. Then we can reassemble the brake caliper. So let me just get this off real quick, and then we'll see what we can do. So I got one side out. A lot of corrosion. See all that dust? Good stuff to breathe in. Just giving this a gentle tap. Seeing if it's starting to wiggle. There it goes. Ugh. Nothing crazy, but something we'll definitely need to clean up. Okay, brake cable is all hooked up. This brake cable was slightly long. Could have been shorter by about six inches or so. I'm not sure if it was ran through this hole. I'd feel like that would start chafing the wire. So I just zip tied it to a couple of the holes there to keep it kind of away from the exhaust, but I also wrapped a little portion with aluminum heat tape so it doesn't melt the cable if it does touch while riding. But it works. We have brakes, which is good. And I found this little spring way down in there. I don't know if this was designed to go through this little cotter pin loop. You can see there's a cotter pin spread out behind there. And then I wrapped it to there to kind of give a little bit of tension on that little brake, I don't know what the word is for it. It's like a cam style bracket, and just brings it back to its position when you let off. So I kind of like it. I'm gonna leave it there unless if I find another spot where it's supposed to go, but it seems like that's what it's designed to do. So we still gotta check the chain case. We gotta do the windshield, and we gotta clean up these belts. The belt can clean it. We gotta clean up these clutch sleeves a little bit. Doesn't have to be crazy. It's just kind of light surface rust. So I'm just gonna take a Scotch-Brite to them and just get rid of some of the heavier pitting or heavier rust spots that are on there. And we're ready to fire this thing up. So that'll be a tomorrow thing. Was kind of bebopping with this throughout the day today. Tomorrow's supposed to be a rainy day, so I'll be in here a little bit more to finish all that up. And yeah, so I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Might have a little bit of a hangover going out to a hibachi tonight. Scorpion bowls. See you tomorrow. Well, good afternoon. It's actually almost the evening. A little rough start to today. But nonetheless, here we are. I am ready to hear this thing run. So we're going to finish up the windshield, clean up the belts, or clean up the clutches, and start giving this thing a couple pulls and see what happens. So let's just get right to it now. So I'm first going to start with the windshield here and get this all situated. This one's actually been pre-cut. I didn't have a template to cut my own, so for 40 bucks I got this one right off eBay. And I got the tall clear for this thing. They make a whole bunch of different types. They make a smoked, they make a short for more of the sporty models. This is not a sporty model, so I wanted to go with the basic clear tall windshield. And we're gonna ignore the vents. We're not gonna do those right now. All right. little tricky on the corners there, but it's all installed. It's pretty good. I tied up the hood cable. I don't know if it went to this one or the middle one. I kind of like it off to the side a little bit. I don't think it really matters. So one more thing before we get this thing started up is I'm going to connect the headlights. I'm just going to go off of a few diagrams. I believe this white wire runs into this plug. There's a plug right here, and it connects into there. And then this ground, I think I'm just gonna run and ground it with that one. I feel like that'd be a good spot for it. It's not a lot of length on that ground, so I'm thinking that's where they probably put it. So let's hook those up. Just like that, we have lights hooked up. You guys probably don't even notice it. Just connected the ground and plugged in where I assume is the only spot. I didn't see any others. And then just kind of zip tied the wire up out of the way from the steering, and we are good to go. So let's fill this thing up and give her a start. Some nice non-ethanol 40-to-1. That should be enough for now. Just in case something goes wrong, I don't want a full tank. But yeah. Let's try our primer bulb here, see if this does anything. And just got a mouthful of gas. Perfect. Love when that happens. Oh yeah, now we're good. All right, here we go. First time this thing's ran, probably since 1970 when it was at the dealership brand new. Let's get to it. Be a second to come on. Just verified real quick that we had spark. So let's keep going here. All that's left is the belt. This is a Daco Max 1036. It's pretty much what I've figured is the one to use, looking at the forums. So try to sneak it on. Whew, that was a battle. All right, let's see how this belt spins. Man, this thing runs so good. I've been doing a little bit of tuning as much as I can on a lift. The real tuning is going to be when we actually take it for a little ride. But we got to wait for snow for that. So let's do one more thing while we're still waiting for snow, and take a look inside that chain case. Make sure we got some oil in there. I don't want to run this thing, obviously, with it being dry. So let's take a look, and then we'll go for a ride. So I don't see any fill section here. It looks to me like it sticks down below. So I'm guessing the oil just fills up to there and it splashes up. So yeah, there is actually oil. We're good there. I don't know what the proper fill level is. I feel like we should do a little more than that. So I'll put a little bit in, and we're good to go there. This all looks beautiful. You can see those gears too. There's no wear on those, which also shows that this is a low hour machine. So yeah, let's put some chain case oil in. A little more full. Sure. We'll go with that. I'll just clean up this cover a little bit. There, that's a lot better. Well, we are officially ready to ride. I added new hood latches, just kind of shortened up a bungee, and it works for now. I have to drill out this rivet to put a actual, the proper one, but this will work just fine. It'll keep the hood held down. And yeah, that's about it. So we unfortunately need to wait for snow now. We got a tiny dusting, but nothing nothing we can ride with yet. I'm actually surprised we have a dusting. I didn't even know it was snowing out currently. So yeah, wait for that. So what will be a split second for you is going to be probably a week or two for me, give or take. But yeah, when you guys see me next, we're riding. Man, this thing's a blast. It definitely is a lot of fun. That is for sure. Yeah, I'm getting the tuning. I'm about probably 85% tuned where I want to be. What's really frustrating about this snowmobile is the carb is in the front. So you have to try it, stop, lift the hood, adjust it a little bit, guess. Try it when they're in the back, you can just turn them on the fly and you can get it dialed into where you want it to be. And also too, I think it's kind of a design flaw as well, having it backwards, is you can see the grill there is piled up with snow. So this thing's just sucking in moisture, like really sucking in moisture. If it was on the back, it wouldn't be getting the blunt of snow. And so I think that's a little bit of a design flaw as well. If this thing had a proper filter or something on the front of the carb instead of just a mesh screen like they came with, that might be a help. But nonetheless, it's fun. So I'm gonna end the video here. You'll see this sled in the future. It's not going anywhere. And I got a bunch more sleds to rip around. So yeah, I'll see you guys very soon.